The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great webinar from CPA Academy. My name is Jasmine, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. Bring client communication forward without letting third-party email hold you back. Today's presenter is Kelly Gonsalves. You should see her on screen right now. We definitely also want to take the time out to thank today's sponsor, Liscio. Thank you so much for helping us to deliver the very best in educational content to our members. We've got Allison from Liscio here taking questions, so you'll definitely hear from her later on. Now, I'll be turning things over to them very soon, but before we get started, I just want to make sure that everything's working for our audience. So if you haven't already, go ahead on over to the control panel and pop out that questions tab. Type me a quick message there to let me know that you can hear my voice and see the title slide. Also, feel free to let me know where in the world you are tuning in from today. All right, I'm checking that out now. We've got a big group here today. I see Colorado, I see Arkansas, I see Atlanta. Hello, Philadelphia, Livingston, New Jersey, Minnesota, Florida. Awesome. All right. Thank you all for tuning in and thank you for confirming. Now, just so you know, this questions box is going to be used in a couple of different ways today. If you have any questions about the presentation today, you can leave those there for Kelly or Allison. Or if you happen to run into any technical trouble, leave me a note right there. I'll get around to you as soon as I can. Now that we know how to use that questions box, let's go through a little housekeeping. This is a 1 CPE webinar. To earn that credit, I just need you to do two things. Stay logged in with us for at least 50 minutes, that's 50 minutes, and answer our polling questions. We'll announce and launch 4 questions. For the best experience, I encourage you to answer as many polls as you can and as quickly as possible. Now, just in case you're wondering, we are recording today's session, and the archive recording, along with your CPE credit, will be available in your CPA Academy accounts within 24 hours. For now, go ahead and grab a copy of today's presentation materials. You can download those right now from the Control Panel's Handouts tab, as well as your CPA Academy account to reference in the future. All right, that's enough for me. I'll go ahead and step aside. Please join me in welcoming our presenter. Kelly, our attendees are ready, and the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, and thank you all for joining us today. As Jasmine mentioned, the title of this webinar is Bring Client Communication Forward Without Letting Third-Party Email Hold You Back. So we're going to be going just an overview of some of the new features in Liscio, but before that, I'm going to go through what I started using it for, how this new feature has actually really helped my firm, and just some different features and ideas that you might find helpful for your firm and for your clients. So for those of you that do not know me, I am Kelly Gonsalves. I founded Totally Booked, which is a bookkeeping firm in New York City 7 years ago. I also co-founded Totally SEO and Ideation Being Forward and Leading Lady Machine Works, which are different companies that serve accountants and bookkeepers in different ways. I'm part of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, so I get to help teach other accountants and bookkeepers about QuickBooks and some different third-party apps and stuff like that. I co-host App Neighborhood Watch, which is Insightful Accountants QB Talks series, where we go through new apps that have come onto the scene, so to speak, in the last quarter, and then tell you guys how they work and how to use them. And if you're looking for me on Twitter or Facebook or any of those places, you can definitely search my name or my handle, which is @TotallyKellyG. So I'm going to get right into it. We do have a lot of slides today, so I'm going to try to keep at a moderate pace, but if I am going too fast, please just let Allison know and she will let me know. So starting off with a statistic that is quite frankly startling. 40%, so accountants and bookkeepers spend 40% of their time searching for and gathering client documents. So let's be real, like even when we didn't know why email was failing us, there was clearly no doubt that it was, right? Or it is, I should say, still failing us. 40% of this is happening in email, right? So I would say 40% of this. The 40% of the time that we're spending on this is searching through email. We're going through, we're looking for documents, we're trying to remember what we named it, we're using this search, we're going back and forth, and that's all going through and combing through all of the different places that clients may have sent us things, or we may have sent something out, or it came from the government, or it came from their CPA, or who knows. But we're trying to find those things to be able to get them back to our clients. A lot of times we don't always, download them, keep them in a secure file somewhere, do something with them. And so we're spending time looking for things, and it kind of sucks. So why is our nearly universal use of this communication system not measuring up? So we're going to go through the issues that I found with email over the years, and then see what we can do to change it. So what's so wrong with email? So this is a visual representation of what's so wrong with email. But as a communication device, great. Almost everyone uses it. It's easy to pass information along. But then often it's overrun, unfocused. Somebody has conversation mode on, somebody doesn't have it on. I can't find the documents. We're all over the place, right? As a collaboration tool, I think it's awful, to be honest. So totally complicated. It's not something that we can go back and forth on very easily. There's no real-time interaction there, right? Working together is awkward. I sent an email. I didn't see your reply. We're going back and forth. We're asking the same question. We're answering the same things. It can get really hectic. I've seen some email chains that go on for quite literally hundreds, or someone just keeps replying to the same thing, and here we are. It's a mess. So it is a tool that everyone uses, and unfortunately, it's still a pretty standard tool that everyone uses, but that doesn't mean that it has to be so painful. There's ways to tackle it better, if you will. And then I feel like once you have it under control and you can put it into a system that you can actually use to keep it organized and keep it all flowing smoothly, it's going to be a game changer. So it doesn't work because we're routinely asking email to do things that it was really never supposed to do. It's not supposed to be a collaboration tool. It's not easy to follow up. It's not your to-do list. Now, I know for a long time I lived in my inbox as if it was my to-do list. I'm going to mark this unread. I'm going to set this to remind me in a couple of days. I'm going to go back to it. We're using it to kind of keep track of the things that we have or haven't done yet, maybe the requests that we're getting. Oh, I have to go back and look at this document that I received because I know I have to save it and I have to name it. And a lot of times it just gets further and further down in our inbox, and we're not actually succeeding at using it for much. It's just making things worse. So when you look at it as what it's supposed to do, which is send a message, that's great. Yeah, that's pretty easy. It's that when we keep going back and forth, now we have attachments, now there's links, things are lost. That's when it gets really difficult and hairy, to say the least. Another thing about email is that you can't collaborate inside of your firm with anyone else. So if I want to share that email, I now have to take the email that came to me from, let's say, the client or the CPA. I have to forward it to my staff. I'm not sure what happens after that. Maybe they're going to act on it. Maybe they're using their inbox as a to-do list. I'm not sure. There's no way for them to update me on what happens with that email request or those documents. So it's kind of a broken way. We're using it in kind of a broken way. So email fails. To address the factors that contribute to the statistic, right? But if we fail to acknowledge email, excluding it from all collaborative processes, we will continue to complicate and isolate our gathering of and access to important information. So to sum up what I just said, basically, we have to use it for what it's intended for and not use it for all the things that we're using it for. All we're doing in doing it that way is complicating it. We're creating silos. We're not being able to actually share out the information and keep the information secure that we want to. But it is everywhere. So despite its faults, it's going to be everywhere. And a lot of businesses still rely on it. I will say, when I was discussing this with Kristen, my business partner, we were talking about how the government has, progressed from sending faxes to sending email notifications for you to log into their portal. So there are definitely things that it's going to continue to be used for. We're not saying that you have to get rid of email altogether, that you're going to be able to, but we can say that there's a better way of organizing it. There's a better way of keeping it current. There's a better way of turning those things into actionable tasks and collaborating. And that's the point that we want you to see, right? It's not moving beyond email, like I said. It's acknowledging that we're ahead of the curve in doing so. And what that means is that we need a way to communicate and accommodate those who aren't in on this. So what we're also going to go through is what happens when you want to stop using email, but everyone else wants to keep using email. So email is fine as a communication device, as we mentioned, but it's also for business communication. So it is a mess. It's all over the place. We have to know why it doesn't work for most of us all the time and what's so wrong with it. And there's not a lot wrong with it for what it's intended for. So I'm going to keep driving that home. Email as email makes total sense. Email and all the other ways that we're trying to use it does not make sense. So it's a horrible way to keep communicating and continue the conversation when we're now so many emails in and we can't keep track of things. So acknowledge email is an outdated delivery device still used by some. So we just need to change our perspective. We're going to continue to use it. We have to accommodate it. It is what it is. But we can do so while also patiently and slowly rejecting it and turning it into what we need it to be. So organizing, storing, securing documents, etc. We can now start to integrate those things if we don't get stuck in our inbox. So how can we best extract the data and information when we need the email that's used by third parties for delivery? So when we look at it this way, how can we get what we need from it, keep it where we need it to be, and then obviously be able to use it as part of our workflow, part of our job, right? So when it's coming through an email, how can we then get it to where it needs to be? How can we get the information out of it without needing to go back and forth, without needing to collaborate via email, without needing to repeatedly complicate the system? This is where Lucio comes in, by the way, because that's the only way that we're going to change it. Oh, sorry. First polling question.
All right, we've arrived at poll number 1. I'll go ahead and launch that. You can take us away.
So, do your clients forward you emails containing important information from third parties? We have. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think this poll was launched out of order.
Oh no.
That was, we've got some folks responding, but let me close this down and I'll actually relaunch the correct poll. That is my fault.
No worries. I'm back.
There we go.
There we go. That's the right one.
So now, do your clients forward you emails containing important information from third parties? And that could be, like we said, the government. It could be their CPA. It could be their last CPA, copy of their tax returns, their license. I love when they send me, their social security number or something like that. So anything that's sensitive information, are they sending to you via email? I'm going to say probably, mostly, all the time. For me, I could say it still happens, even though I've thwarted it on so many levels.
All right, so this is the first of 4 polls, and we will leave each poll open for about 60 seconds. You can respond to these polls by clicking the radio button that corresponds to your answer. Be sure to click submit. Thank you all for voting in so quickly.
90% voted.
And I'll go ahead and shut this one down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so we can see that the majority are still getting things via email, which is what I expected, right? So most of the time, everything's being sent through email because that's where everyone's communicating. So as I mentioned, I'm going to explain to you now how Lucio gets it right and how I'm using it. So helping to get all the information. So even though we know that you prefer to receive data in simple and secure inside of Lucio, because that's how I prefer it, now you can more easily incorporate the information received less perfectly. So if someone's sending you something inside of, well, should I say via email, whether that's Gmail or Outlook, you're then able now to integrate that with Listio. You can take the documents from it and put them into your vault. You can exchange documents by moving that email over to a Listio message and replying to them there. You can take it and make it actionable. So you can make it a task for the client, a task for your staff, a task for yourself. So putting it on your to-do list, you can add notes to it. So these are places where Listio is taking that email. So we know it's not ideal that they're still using email, but now we're going to say, it's okay. We can now help you anyway. We can now move this over for you. We're going to store it here. We're going to put you in the system. We're going to make it easier to communicate. Okay, so getting on the same page. There's no easy ways per se to get on the same page. I would say that even when I started using Listio and I introduced it to my clients, super excited, even the ones that were best at it, using it, communicating there, every once in a while I'll still send an email. And so my not so passive aggressive way of dealing with that was just replying to them in Listio and kind of saying, this is where I'm communicating. But we want to make sure to keep it easy. We want to make it easy to comply. We want to make it easy to initiate, right? And Listio has helped to keep those communications open. So getting on the same page, explaining it to them why it's so important that we communicate there and not through email, and how easy it is to do so. Putting a link on my website that they can easily get to, making it available to them in my email signature, whatever the case is, whatever is going to drive that home, that this is how we're going to communicate, and this is how we need to exchange documents, and this is where everything is saved. Just driving that home more and more helps us get on the same page. So communicating in the same way, in the same page, on the same page, through the same method, the same delivery method, and just kind of making sure that that's where they're going when we need something, or when they need something, I should say. That's the way to do it. So keeping the ease of use, but giving them a better tool, that's the whole goal. So helping to keep all the information, right? So organize. Once your email and associated data are in Listio, for the most part, that's where they live, right? You can organize, assign, tag, etc. That's what I mentioned earlier. And you can fully incorporate that information now into the system. So if someone emails you a document and or just an email, it could just be an email, right? So they send you an email with some notes, and you want to take that and make sure that you're able to pass it on to the correct staff member. You want to add it to just their file in general. You want to save it. You can do all of that in Listio now. So it's not replacing your inbox, right? You still can go sign in at Gmail or Outlook, but when you're inside of Listio, it can take those things and make them part of your everyday system. So as I mentioned, I use Listio for client communication, for document exchange. Those are my top two. I can now make sure that when they're sending me that stuff, that one-off document that didn't come through Listio, I can just pull it in and it's not a big deal. We're just going to keep on moving forward. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I'm going to put it in the right place. They're going to know where it is. I'm going to know where it is. It's easy peasy. And that comes to making it handy, right? Keeping the data handy. So having everything in the same place, making it easy to find, tagging those documents, assigning them to the client, making sure that whomever is needing them can get them. So if it's my staff, if it's me, if it's the client, whoever needs it, they're able to access it. They're easy to explore, easy to maintain. So using tags, you can use multiple tags for things to make sure that things are easy to find. And then when you're going into stuff like documents or notes, you're able to just do a search and pull everything up. So having that email, picture of, or document, whatever it might be, easily transformed from being stuck in my inbox to now being able to attach it to a client is a game changer. When it's a email requesting that I do something, hey, can you send us last year's P&L, whatever it looks like, right? I'm able to easily upload it if it's not already in there, and then send it right over in Listio. Or I can make it a task item for my staff to handle. So let's say it's not something for me, it's a different account manager that has to do it. I can now give it to them and they can do it, and then I can see that they answered, which is even better. So now we're all in the same place. So the other big thing about Listio that we love is how secure it is. So when somebody's sending me that document via email, and I've now moved it into the Listio platform. So I've assigned it, I've downloaded, well, not downloaded it, I've saved it into the vault, I've tagged it to where I need it to be. It's now in Listio and it's secure. So now I'm thinking of it's out of my inbox. I'm not worried about it there. I can now communicate about it. I can now send it over to whoever needs it via Listio. So this is a big deal because now we're taking something out of the inbox, putting it into Listio where it is secure, and then we can continue to communicate in Listio. So if I need to send it to somebody, let's say it's the CPA, right? So I know that I invite my clients' CPAs into Listio. So when it comes time to actually exchange documents or information, if they have questions, let's say this client just sent me 1099s that they received, and I have now uploaded them, and the CPA wants to see them. I can easily now take Listio, start a message to that CPA, and attach all of those documents, and it's all secure. So once I now send that message in Listio, not sending an email, I'm sending a Listio message, they're going to receive everything. They can communicate with me on it. We can stay in that safe place, and we're not having to worry about sending client information back and forth. I also make sure that when I start with a new prospect, if I'm needing documents from them or let's say, so tax returns, bank statements, anything that I need to see, I'm asking them to send me. My first thing that I say is do not send it to my email. I'm going to invite you to Listio. So I try and start from day one with, let me send you a link to Listio. This is how we're going to communicate. If you have any questions, this is where that lives. Please send these documents. This is where we're going to go. That does not mean that they're always going to send it via email. I mean, via Listio, but sometimes they'll send it via email, and now I have the ability to put it back into their file. So it really does open up a different way to keep everything in the same place and keep it safe. So security, big one. I know that everyone out there has different fears around security, right? But it's what I just mentioned, keeping it secure, keeping it safe, keeping it seamless. They send it via Listio, they send it via email. Now you don't have to go anywhere else. It's all going to live there. Now you can do something with it, you can make it actionable, but it's all in that safe space. So wanting to make sure that they understand how important it is to keep everything safe, how secure, how security plays a role, I will say. I think for my clients at least, it provided them more ease of mind. It's something that they were more comfortable about once I explained why we needed it and why it was so important. But again, it did not prevent them necessarily from remembering not to send it in email. But once it's in there now, I can do what I need to do with it. So it makes a huge difference having everything in that safe space. So this is a more visual representation. And again, I think this also reminds me to say that we're not trying to get rid of email. We're not trying to reject email. We know that email is necessary. We're not trying to say don't ever send us anything. We still want to keep the lines of communication open. We just want to lessen the email that could put us in a bad spot as far as security goes, can make us go back and forth and possibly make an error because somebody said one thing, somebody else said another thing. Having one place to communicate about it and simplify it makes it so much easier for me, for anyone that's on my team, just being able to understand what's going on, have a full picture, have the right people assigned to it. Like this is perfect. Reject the delivery method, not the data. We still want the information. We still want the client to share with us. We still want them to send documents. We just want to make sure that they're not sending it in an unsafe way. So we're fully recognizing that it's going to happen. We know that email is still very standard in the world. We just feel that if you can get them to send it to you, you can then do what you need to do with it, right? So we want to make sure that it speeds up interaction, diversifies collaboration. We want to collaborate with our clients. I always say that my clients, I feel like, are partners. We're partners in their business, right? We're important to them, they're important to us. And part of that is making sure that we can do what we need to keep them safe. So we don't want to make it difficult. We just want to make it more organized, more accessible, and more qualified, right? So request and respond to third parties in the ways that we get the best results. So we know that if we establish this line of communication, they may also give us more information. So prioritize what you're asking them for. You can also then I feel like, at least this is what I've been doing. You can also then teach them how to use the platform a little better. But we know that it's not going anywhere. I just want to make that clear. I know that it's not going anywhere. I know that clients are going to continue to use email. We just want them to also now be able to get it to us where we need to receive it. Oops. Next poll.
All right, I will go ahead and launch our second poll here. And while we're doing that, I want to make sure, Kelly, that your audio is working really well. We've had a couple comments about making sure that your mic is turned up, and just try your best to speak directly into the mic so everyone can hear you. But as far as our poll goes, this is our second of 4 polls today. We'd like to know, are you concerned about emails you receive from third parties on your client's behalf? As usual, we'll leave this open for about 60 seconds, and we've got about 30 seconds remaining. Let's go ahead and cast your vote now for poll
Great.
number 2.
Thank you, Jasmine. This is Allison. Kelly, is it okay if I ask a couple of questions?
Of course. And I just switched my mic, so I hope that helps.
Yeah, well, Neil, let us know if it helps. So there was a couple of questions. I've been answering them back and forth, but I think they kind of weave in with what you're saying. So had an interesting conversation with Christopher. Can Lisio provide reports on how long it takes to respond to inquiries? Now, I answered with the Lisio stats, but I wondered if you'd want to answer, are you getting responses faster from your clients once you've turned to Lisio?
I definitely am. And I think part of it is because they're able to answer me from kind of wherever they are. So a lot of my clients, as soon as I tell them about Lisio, I make sure to check the box that they can receive text messages because I want them to get an alert whenever I ask them for something or we go back and forth. And then I also tell them that they should download the mobile app.
The mobile app. Yep.
So if it's
Yeah,
something
they have it in their hand, right? Yeah. Sorry, Kelly, you go ahead. You answer.
No, it's fine. I was just saying, if it's something where they can answer kind of off the top of their head, or if it's something really easy, they'll just do that. And so it's not them doing the same thing where they're keeping it in their inbox, they're keeping it unread, they're moving it up in the, moving it down, I should say, as other stuff comes in. They're able to answer it right away. If it's something where it's more of a to-do item, I can also assign them a task, and then it'll send them reminders.
Yeah. And then the other thing I think that's relevant is that if someone is going to be sending a document and they need to scan it, they've got that mobile scanner in their hand, so they can do it really quickly. Yeah. So let's keep going. I just wanted to get your perspective on Christopher's question.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Yeah, I think it's really helpful. They're just easier to communicate with. So, okay, so let's go through some of the features. Okay, so you can create a bunch of different stuff from an email now with Lisio. So once you've connected your Gmail, your Outlook, you're going to have an interface that's going to pull up your inbox. And then you're going to be able to take those emails and do certain things with them. You can sort them by priority, so you can assign whether something is important or not, right? High priority, low priority. You can create a task. You can convert it and then reply to them via messages. You can put notes on it. You can add account information. You can add customer information, and you can and you can add to an existing task. So if it's something where you've assigned a task to a client and they've now emailed you whatever the document was that needs to be able to complete that task. Let's say I asked for last year's tax returns and I already had a task in there, and instead of sending it back to me via Lisio, they emailed it to me because they just forwarded me their CPA's email from last year. I can then take that and assign it or pull it onto the existing task that I already gave them and mark it as complete. So it gives me options for, sorry, I just thought somebody else can't hear me, I feel bad. It just gives me options for what I can do with that different stuff that's coming in, right? My favorite feature, if I'm being honest, is that I can flip it into a Lisio message. So I look at it as it's one more way where I can tell the client that this is what we're using and this is how I'm going to reply, and go from there. So it puts them into the system. It reminds them that the system exists. Let's say they didn't take any of my recommendations of downloading the app or receiving text messages, whatever it is. This now gives them less options of forgetting, if you will. So I'm going to show you some screenshots and of my favorite one, which is, and I'm going to come back to this slide. But so here is my email inside of Listio inbox. I deliberately blocked some things out, so it doesn't actually look like this. It just looks like regular inbox would look.
Data privacy.
Yeah, yes, I
Data
need to
privacy
make
at
sure.
play here.
Kristen was consulted. She's fully aware that her name is on the screen, but nobody else signed up for that. So I wanted to make sure to block everything else out. But you can see here, right? So this is my primary inbox. I haven't assigned anything as a low priority in this case. I guess because once they're in there, they're all important for me, but I probably will start using that for newsletters and stuff that's not so important. But putting in, so, Kristen, I said, please send me these documents, whatever they were, tax return, whatever the case is, right? And she sent it, of course, via email. So I receive it in Listio, and then I have the option here, like I said, to reply via Listio message. So I wanted to be able to say thank you, or I'm putting this in the vault, I've tagged it if you need to access it, so on and so forth. Once I click that, it pulls her right up because she's already in my Listio system, right? So she's already in as a customer. This is her email, and I can just write a reply right in here. I can then notify her via text, like I mentioned earlier. So she's getting a text message telling her that I've sent her a message in Listio, so she can open on the app or whatever she needs. If I need to add, let's say if I need to reply with a different document, oh no, I needed this one, not that one, I can pull it from my vault or I can pull it from my computer. So there are different ways that you can do it, but now we're in Listio. So when she replies to my message, it's going to be in my Listio inbox rather than going back and forth on email. So my notifications are going to show up here. I intentionally set up a notification on my desktop. Something's going to pop up when I get a message in Listio. And so it's letting me know that she's replied to me, whatever the case is, however I need it to be, wherever I need it to be, I can do all of that from right here. Going back to what you can do in Listio, sorry, more stuff you can do in Listio. So the other side of it is you need to be able to maintain your inbox somewhat, right? So understanding that you're not going to have to, let's say, reply to every email. You can dismiss emails without interfering with your Gmail inbox or your Outlook inbox. So you can put emails down as read or dismiss them off. You can respond to emails there as well. So if you want to stay in email for whatever this particular thing is, maybe it's just a quick reply, maybe somebody sent you something, you can still reply via Listio. You're in Listio, but you're replying through email. So it's still going to be an email that goes out from you. You can start new emails. So you can just create an email, send it to anybody you need it to go to, and still send it out. You can share them though, which is unique to Listio. So you can also tag those emails, you can put them into a file, you can share them with your staff. That's all going to be part of why you would want to open your email in Listio. You can assign different access levels. There's response transparency. So when you're needing your staff or somebody on your team to be a part of that email chain, so to speak, you can now pull them into it and they'll be able to see the emails that you've wanted them to have access to. They're not going to see your whole inbox, just to be clear. They're going to see what you've assigned them to. And then different ways to tag, file, etc. That's all going to be part of the organizing. So manage your Listio email view as business and staff aligned, and your source inbox as personal to you. So if you want to only deal with your business related emails, some people use one email address for everything. You can do that right in here. And then you can go back to Gmail and deal with, let's say it's newsletters or coupons or whatever else it is that you receive. But when it's in here, you're able to then put it out to whoever needs to get it and make sure that it's assigned to the right client and pull everything through so that it's living in the right place. And you can see on here the different options that you have. Okay, so the other side of this is that you're going to have to, I don't think you have to, but I would say it's a good practice to shift the way you're thinking about things and how you're getting clients to adopt, right? So if you look at this as you're introducing Listio and you have some clients that are really struggling to take it on, right? They're not really understanding fully why you need to use it or when to use it. They're still sending you stuff. This is a way for you to slowly move them into the right direction. So you're wanting now to You send them a task, they reply via email. Oh, I saw that you sent me something. Here's the document, whatever it is. Like I said, not so passive aggressively. Reply to them via email. I mean, forgive me, reply to them via Lisio. So kind of nudging them in the right direction and explaining, if you need to, again, why you need it. Hey, I saw that you sent me that tax return via email, but if something were to happen where my email was compromised or your email was compromised, somebody would have access to that information. I would never want that to happen. So I'm replying to you in Lisio because it's safer and more secure. Just using different ways to explain to them why it's important. When you assign them something, it's going to send them reminders. Another reason that they're going to have to go in and take a look. And I use it for communication all the time. I find it a lot easier to type out a message in Lisio. I can make it a little bit less formal, more along the lines of a chat with a client. That's the feel that I get from it, especially since there's a mobile app. And so it's not as much pressure. They're not, like I said, they're not marking things as unread. They're not trying to keep track of their inbox. I'm likely the only company that's communicating with them in Lisio, and so they're only really using it as access to us. And so slowly but surely, bringing them over in little tiny bits and pieces. So if they're giving you a hard time about moving to a different communication platform or a different way to share documents, just getting them to do one at a time and doing it slowly is a great way to go about it. Okay, another poll.
All right, you got it, Kelly. Poll number 3 has been launched. Let us know if you'd like more information about Lisio. As usual, leave this open for about a minute.
Yeah, and we have so many questions. I'm kind
Yay.
of they're just coming in for days. So Donnie asked, how do you get clients to not text or email sensitive information? And I think the interesting, I answered back and I said, well, think about your bank. Would you text or email anything to your bank? You wouldn't, right? You would use your banking app. So Kelly, how do you get your clients to not text or and I guess the texting is an issue for a lot of people, to not text or email that sensitive information?
So I have started, so I don't know if this is the nicest way to do it, but I've started to take a really long time to answer text messages. I look at text as something that I can't mark unread, I can't put it on a to-do, I can't create a task out of it. If they text me at 3 in the afternoon and I'm still working on something, I'm going to likely forget by the time, the day is over to go back. And so I've actually said to clients, hey, I can't help you from my inbox, like my texts. I can't help you here. I'm going to need you to send this to me in Lisio. You should have the mobile app by now. If you don't, please download the mobile app, log in there, and just instead of sending me a text, you can send it to me in Lisio. I can then make it actionable. I can make it a to-do, I can make it a task, I can reply to you, I can send you the documents, whatever that looks like. But I've made it a little painful, if you will, to use text as a communication method. I don't know if that's the nicest way, but it needed to happen because I was getting texts from people at very weird hours. There are really no rules around texts.
There's no rules around text, and that is the interesting thing. And also, a text is not actionable, so
Right.
it has to be
Can't do
moved
anything
into
with it.
something. Yeah. And then there was another question earlier on, and I'm apologize, I lost the person's name. Their comment was about texting. Would this keep the relationship with the firm versus with the person they were texting? And so we had a little chat about that, a little string. And the thing about it is kind of like, if you're a hairdresser, right? If you have the personal phone number of your hairdresser and they leave the salon, you go with them, right? Whereas if you didn't, you might not be able to find them, right? So it's this really interesting thing. So we had a great conversation about that. And then I think the other one is keeping people in the loop. This one was from Christy. I'll read it out. We're actively looking for a solution to move off email because of security concerns and the issues involved with keeping everyone in the loop. Will Lisio help with that? So she's talking from a Teams environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So if it comes in via email, it comes in via Lisio message, whatever that looks like, if it's a document that you've uploaded, you can then tag in, so to speak, you can assign the people that you need to see it. So if it's someone on your team, your staff, if you still want to be involved, you want to assign it out and put it to that person, you can do all of that inside of Lisio. So you can definitely include everybody, and then you can also oversee it if you need to.
Okay, great. Let's carry on, and then we do have lots more questions, but if we have
Oh,
time, we'll answer them, Kelly. Thank you. Well, we'll
awesome.
ask them.
Okay. So here we go. So simplify collaboration. Making it very easy and very simple is the best way to go about getting your clients to adopt. So as we mentioned, text messages, emails, carrier pigeons, smoke signals, however it is that they are sending you information that is not secure and not helpful and not getting it to the right people that need it, is complicating it probably more on your side and then on their side, but making it easy so that it works for everybody is the best way to go about it. When they're in Lisio, so you've already invited them into Lisio, and they send you something, you can make it so that they can see the documents that they've sent you. They have a different way to access those things. They're all inside of that safe space, safe portal. I've always said that I use Lisio to bring everybody together, so to speak, right? So I use it for my clients to be in there. If their CPA needs information, I want them in there as well. And so now I'm able to share the information safely amongst everybody. Also, it says to my clients that we're working together as a team, right? I say always that I want to partner with you. I want to be a part of your success. I want to help you run your business more smoothly, right? So simplifying this collaboration and saying, hey, I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to bring your CPA in. I'm going to bring, let's say it's your on-staff bookkeeper. Maybe it's your controller. I want everyone to be in here so that we can all speak clearly to each other. And we have one place to save all of this information, these documents, whatever that looks like. Making it simple so that everybody can do it, their team, your team, etc., is probably the easiest way, I'm going to say the best way that I've gotten clients to adopt. So getting them off of the text, like I said, taking longer to answer, saying, hey, I can't really do anything with this, but if you message me here, you'll get an answer much faster. That's a bonus. And then it's simple. It's so simple. Just open this one app on your phone, send me the things. It just, as we start to go through it, making it simpler, making it easier, that's the way to go. Oh, sorry. Here we go. And then reimagine how to route the work to your team. So this goes back, I think, to, it was somebody had asked in the chat how to get things to your staff. So this is also, how do we route it? How can we assign it? Who can see it? Setting permissions, setting access, who can get those documents? This is all things that you can assign in Lisio. So if it's a document that you only need one staff member to see, there's one person on the team that's handling it, that's it. That's who it goes to. If it's something where it's more of a team effort, you can do that as well. So you can use it to communicate with your clients, with your staff, with your clients' associates. Maybe it's a lawyer, maybe it's a CPA, but you're able to route all of those things to the right people without having to think too much about it. And I think that's also a really big deal. So somebody sends you a question, maybe it's not a question that you can answer per se, but somebody on your team can answer it. You can then be in the loop because maybe you want to know what the answer was. You don't have to directly answer, you can get it to the right person, but they're going to have the information they need to answer that question. So routing the work to your team, just think about how you could do that a little differently and how much easier it would make it for everybody. Tame the mess of digital client interactions. So I think this speaks to, we had some people in Slack, we had some people that texted us, we had some people that emailed us. On the poll, somebody had said that they're still, they use a fax machine. Whatever that looks like, tame all of that mess into one place. It changes my whole day, let me tell you. When I get up in the morning and I grab my phone first thing, I get up, and now instead of going right to my email, I go to Lisio, right? So I'm like, oh, hey, let's see if anybody needed anything, anybody requested anything. Let's see if I have any tasks assigned to me. I can see all of that in my app. And so that's where I start, because my clients are communicating there for the most part. We still get some stragglers that email, but they're all communicating in there. And so I know that I can do something with those messages or with those requests. And then I move on to my inbox eventually, and now I can actually do something with those requests and those documents that come in. So taming that mess is something that's going to be so much easier on the firm side, on the me side of things, on the you side of things, that it's a really attractive feature. Being able to now see everything in one place is, I can't even describe how much easier it makes things. And I'm going to go to the last poll, or Allison, do you want to ask me some more questions first?
Well, we did have ones about keeping your teams online, keeping your teams, like staff are having to look in so many places. The concept of being very collaborative with clients was really resonating. And especially one person said, Angela said, especially since we don't meet our clients in person so much anymore. So that was very, a very telling thing. And I think one person said, I don't think my clients will use it. And so I shared with her, well, she just said her clients are resistant and kind of old school. And I shared with her, and I think it's so cute since we've got just a minute or two, Linda Artisani's power move of the security waiver. Have
Nice.
you heard that one, Kelly?
She did tell us about it on a webinar, and I was actually
It's so
really
good.
impressed.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain it, or I
Well,
can?
do you want to? You go ahead. You go ahead,
Yeah.
because it's just so good. It's just such a good tip. It's a power move for sure.
I think it's actually pretty genius, right? So Linda Artisani tells her clients basically from jump that they should, she's adding them to Listio, and that's where we're going to communicate. And if they say, I don't want to use another app, I'm not using a communication tool, et cetera, she goes, okay, that's fine. I just need you to sign this waiver that says that if something happens to my inbox or your inbox, et cetera, that we're not responsible, and that you've decided to not communicate the way that we've requested it, and get that back to me. And so she did share that she hasn't actually had to send the waiver. So
No one will
no one
sign it.
has called her bluff.
She also says to them, and oh, by the way, you'll need additional insurance for this.
Yes,
Because you're covering every possible thing that happens. So that's something, if you think about it, folks, the risks of using open email and texting, it's just, y'all know it, right? Y'all know it. It's just a matter of just thinking about, how you work with your clients differently. And then one question here that I will just answer, it just came in from Kathy. Does Listio work for any firm and software, or must it be attached to specific software? I'll just go ahead and cover that one, Kelly, quickly. Listio works with everything you use now, and the reason that it's a separate front office is so that you can do whatever digital back office you want. So tax, accounting, what have you, it works with everything. So we just will show you how your workflows will change or not change depending on what you're using. But there are lots of integrations that we have. We're not going to go deep on that, but you can find those on our website. Yeah, great question, Kathy. Yep.
So I know
All right.
for me, it's main things like, so I integrate it with now Gmail and Google Drive. And so if that's, something you're doing, you now have options for pulling files from places and adding them to places and putting them in all the different places that you or your staff might need them. It's definitely been helpful.
Carbon, Smart Vault, Zoom, Calendly,
There you go.
there's more that, and yes, and also you can invoice through Listio as well.
And billing now.
Through QBO for billing, yeah, through QBO. So we're getting the more integrations coming. Okay, should we do the poll?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go. How are you hoping to improve your client experience offering in the future? So knowing what you now know about email and security, what are you looking to make some changes on?
All right, we've come to our fourth and final poll. Thank you all who have already submitted your votes. We'll leave this open for about another 30 seconds. If you missed a poll today for any reason, be sure to cast your vote here and now.
And while we're doing that one, Kelly, you might want to answer Frankie's question. How much time do you think you save using Listio?
Oh my gosh.
I can't even plant that one. Like, that's just like, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
thank you for asking that. Let's ask Kelly.
I'm gonna say hours for sure. So also, if you guys have seen me talk about how much Listio changed my practice in the past, you would know that I avoid my inbox, my email inbox, like the plague. I hate going in there. I hate having to figure out how to remember things, where to put them, etc. So now that I can do that someplace and quite literally make it into a task or assign it to somebody else, I'm not avoiding it anymore. It's a lot easier for me to just integrate it into my day. Uh, but even before email was an option, just being able to communicate in the right place and save documents quickly, hours off of my week,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting the poll results. I'm having them come in. Jasmine, I think we're at 81% voting. So do you want to open it,
Yeah.
keep it up a little bit longer, or should we close it out?
Let's go ahead and shut this one down. Our fourth and final poll shutting down in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, let's get the results shared there if you don't mind. There we go.
Oh,
Absolutely. And I'll give
Yep.
the last
So
10 minutes back to you.
everybody's pretty much wanting to tame all the things. I love it.
yeah.
That's great.
So I would say it's definitely something that so if it makes anybody resonate even more, I was hesitant to change, right? So I had a couple of systems that were doing literally different systems that were doing the things that Lisio do all in one place. I was paying double. So the pricing that I was paying for storage, the pricing I was paying for communication tools, the pricing that obviously my email I can't help, but I was paying more for all of those things. And now I can do them in one place and it saved me a lot of money. And then like Allison said, I've also saved so much time. It's it's just such a game changer.
Yeah, have you integrated it with QuickBooks Online? Because I know you're a big QBO user. So
Yeah.
have you done the integration? I'm
Yeah.
asking Ying Ying's question. By the way, I
Yeah.
love that. I absolutely love that name, Ying Ying. Ying Ying asks, can Lisio be integrated with QuickBooks Online? Yes.
Yeah.
So Kelly, are you using that integration?
Yeah, so I do for my monthly clients, I have recurring billing already set up, so it's kind of on autopilot. But any consultation projects that I do, or any, let's say, cleanups and stuff where I'm billing differently, I just because it's already in there, I can now say, hey, I'm going to send you over, an invoice. You're going to get all of that right here, even though I know that it's going to pull back to QuickBooks. It's going to accept the payment and everything for me. It's all now just inside of Lisio. And they don't even think twice about it. Actually, I would say they probably pay a little faster.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what we're finding there was a few questions about speed earlier and we did kind of allude to them. What's going to be really interesting as more people get online with this, we'll be able to benchmark the
Oh,
the speed that people will get paid,
you'll have more
which is
data.
very interesting. Yeah, the data on the back. Yeah.
Nice.
So fantastic questions from everybody. I think we pretty much covered them. I'm just combing back. I think I've answered them all, but I'm wondering, oh, got one from Alan here coming in late.
Mhm.
Can Lisio be used to securely receive payments from clients? Yes, that's Alan. That's what we were just talking about with billing and QBO integration. Oh my gosh, now they're coming in. Janice, do third parties send you info and reports to you through Lisio? Okay, this is a really
I
interesting
do.
one. Janice is, Kelly, have you assigned anyone? Since we've got a little bit of time, we can go a
Yeah.
little bit deeper on this one. Um, Janice's question is asking, would you bring, for example, a lawyer or like I know you're a bookkeeper, would you bring a CPA in
Oh,
as a client user and attach it to the account so that they can send you things?
absolutely. I immediately ask for their CPA's information
Mm-hmm,
when I start working with them because I want to be able to communicate with them the same way.
mm-hmm.
So I say, this is where I'm going to send you all of the reports. This is where you can respond to me. This is where we live, basically. And CPAs appreciate security for the most part, so they don't give me much pushback.
And I think it also, Janice, the beauty of doing that is they can then access the documents that Kelly has assigned to that client.
Yeah.
So it can actually speed up we could actually almost do a whole course on that one, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we could. We could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Christopher, does it work
Christopher.
with
Yep.
Gmail? Yeah. Yes, it does. Kelly uses it with Gmail. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really fun to be
Um,
able to answer them live as they're coming in. Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say, so Janice, you had asked about third parties sending info and reports. Um, so it depends on how it's set up. I will say if it's coming in via email. So let's say there's some automated report that's coming in. It's unlikely that I can get them to send it to me in Lisio, but now I can take that report and put it somewhere where the client can find it, my staff can find it. I'm not having to forward that over. So let's say it's like a POS that sends, totals at the end of the day and it's just a PDF or something where it's not something that I can manipulate, I can then keep it, tag it, put it with the right client. And so whoever's working on that file doesn't have to ask me for it. They just have it.
Yeah, these are just such fantastic questions, and it points out that everyone's practice is different, right?
Yes.
And so making a system that's quite very like 100, secure with bank level security. It's encrypted at rest and at transit, but also creating that transparency for the team and
Yeah.
having everything in one place and then the clients, Kelly, you had said that your clients actually self-serve their reports.
Yeah.
So
They can
how's
get
that working
whatever they
out?
need. Yeah. So instead of emailing me and saying, hey, where can I get this P&L or whatever the case is, they will usually start now because I've kind of trained them a little bit, but they'll start in Lisio. And if it's something that they can't find, they'll message me in Lisio and ask me for it. Likely it's just that they weren't looking in the right place, or maybe I tagged it incorrectly. It was on my, on me. But whatever the case is, they can now find it, usually on their own. They're not actually having to ask me for documents. And nobody's searching their inbox, thank God. Lives in one
Yeah,
place.
they're the searching of the inbox. We hates it, don't we? We do.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and share a demo link in
Okay.
the. I'm going to go ahead. Alan, I'm going to answer your question. It was partially your question was could Lisio, and I'm just going to go ahead and share the demo link because a couple of other people have asked for that. So you can go ahead and take a look there, and let me just let Kelly wrap up.
Yeah. So this is just me, right? So Lucio helps me demonstrate to my clients and colleagues that our work together is important. Kind of an underlying theme of any of the webinars I've done thus far and probably will continue to do is that I want to give my clients a financial home. I want them to know that things are secure. I want them to know that they have a place where they can find things and ask questions. All of that is inside of Lisio. So keeping them in instead of out, inviting them in, making them part of the process, helping them to understand, all of that happens inside of Lisio. So I always say like a financial home, it's a hub, if you will, but it's a place where they can find things and we can collaborate. And now, even when they make the mistake of sending an email, I can do something with it, which is great. And then we did this part already, but if you have questions.
Yeah, I think we might be able to give everybody a minute or two back, Jasmine, because
Yeah.
we did answer all of the questions. We managed to cover it all. And folks, if there was one that I accidentally missed, during the presentation, we'll go back and make sure you do get an answer. Yeah. But
Yeah.
thank you, Kelly. This is
Thank you.
it's a new feature and I'm glad you've been using it and getting benefit of it. And it's always interesting to hear like how you're using it,
Yeah.
and how much of a difference it's made. So
It's
yeah.
flexible
Thank you.
enough that you can use it in different ways.
Okay, over to you,
Awesome.
Jasmine.
Yeah, I definitely just want to start out by echoing that gratitude. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Allison, for sharing all of your insights and these really amazing tools with us. And thanks to all of our attendees for their questions, all of which will be shared with our panel in a full report. Now, with that, we have come to the conclusion of today's webinar. So we here at CPA Academy will process your credit later today. A copy of this webinar, the handout, your evaluation, and your CPE credit will be in your CPA Academy account within 24 hours. As Allison mentioned, that link for a demo is in the chat and the questions box, so definitely check that out. Also, take a look at your email inbox because we did also send you an evaluation link right there, so fill that out. Let us know how we did today. Please check the schedule on our website for additional information, and we hope to see you all very soon on a future webinar. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Allison. Thanks, Kelly. Have a great day.
Thank you.